right, and now for some more official Transformers reviews. We got in today Masterpiece Star Saber. And he comes in the standard Masterpiece type of box with a plastic tray inside of it. You get a little baggie with the instruction booklet and a little bio card and a little ad type thing. And there's a little history of the design of Star Saber and some previous Star Sabers. That's the old G1 version. I can't remember what that line was called, SCF it looks like. They did a couple of smaller versions, and then of course the Star Saber from Energon. So was that Armada or Energon? One of those, Armada, Energon, Cybertron. I think they all had a version of this guy that came out. So some of the sketch art, and then of course the instruction booklet has all the instructions and everything you need to transform your figure. So we're going to start off now with the very first part, the little Brain of Courage. Star Saber is from Transformers over in Japan, like Victory and all that stuff. But yeah, they were the Brain Master gimmick. So here's the Brain of Courage, and I knew he was going to be small, but he is way weirder than I thought he was going to be. He's a wee little robot. You can see he's maybe an inch tall, maybe a little over an inch tall. He's about the size of my fingertip. You can see there's the first knuckle. He's very tiny, but despite all that, both his arms and his legs move independently. So he's got some posability, even for such a tiny robot. He's even got, I don't know how well this is even going to focus. Even his little visor there is painted. All the little details, like really detailed for such a tiny little figure. And it just kind of surprised me that they can paint this tiny little visor on this dude, and yet, we get Spike and Raoul and all those other characters that have no facial paint whatsoever. But they did it. And he's a little impressive. I almost want to buy another Star Saber just to have a little one of these guys to carry around in my pocket all the time. So yeah, he's smaller than even an old school G1 Headmaster is about this tall. He's about a little over half the size of an old G1 Headmaster, and it's not in focus. Sorry about that. There we go. So yeah, so there's the little Brain of Courage. And he can sit in the Saber bot. Here's Saber in vehicle mode. And you can open the cockpit here. Let's pop this open. And you want to lift his arms up. And his legs up. And then you can just sit him down here in the cockpit. And you can close that up. And he can pilot the jet. And the jet, the wings can be moved a little bit, mostly for transformation and such. But it's a jet. There's not a whole lot of posability. He does have flip-up, fold-down landing gear, just like this. Flip those up. And honestly, I dig just this part of the figure, even if it didn't come with a V-Star or any of the extra pieces. Just this guy is pretty cool in and of itself. But he can also attach to the rest of him the V-Star here, which is... he's on a little stand here, that turns into a shield. We'll show that later. But you fold these wingtips down, flip these up, then on the V-Star, open up these panels. There's a little tab here and then some clips up here on top of it. And you just kind of push him in, sit him down over the tab there on the bottom, and then just snap him up to clip in like that. And there's the full vehicle mode. His pistol stores back here. He's got some storage for his sword blades in the back as well. Like I said, he's got the stand that will come as shield for robot mode, which is pretty cool. You can detach the stand. It's just a couple clear pieces that clip on, just like that. We'll show that off more later. So there's a stand for his combined mode. And again, you see this cockpit up here that will become the helmet for the super robot mode here, up here on top. And then these panels right here open up, and you want to make sure if you move these, you want to make sure to unclip them from the top here first, and then lift them up. Because if that's locked in and you just try to lift it up, you're going to end up breaking something. There's a lot of resistance there, so make sure to unclip this little tab from the top. You can open that up, and you see he's got some missile pods there on both sides. He does also have underneath, I'm trying to think where the back ones are. Maybe just fold these down. But underneath here, you can flip the Autobot symbols up, and there's a little landing gear. Let's see if I can raise this up here. Landing gear for this. You don't have to use the stand if you don't want to, but there are a little landing gear under both of the Autobot symbols up here. You see that they kind of come down. I guess they're on the back. You flip those down, flip the wheel down. It's the only problem with large toys is keeping them all in frame. So lift these up, flip the landing gear down. You can see that there's the supports them without the stand. Go ahead and flip those back up. Go ahead and pop, open up these panels, pop him back out, and we'll set the V-Star off to the side for a few minutes. So to transform Saber himself, you can pop the brain out, just like this. And it's pretty simplistic. You want to pop this piece off the top, fold the wings back like that, fold these wings back like this, pull the legs down. And you see where the landing gear flips up, there's another piece around that. There's the foot piece that comes down. So you just reach up there and flip the feet out, split his legs, pull his shoulders up. And then the arms, flip the hands out. And the arms actually, they don't just collapse. You have to pull them out like this, rotate that panel up. Similar to the way that a lot of the Combiner War legs worked, to expose his elbow joints. Just like that. This panel right here flips over, and it's got a couple of clips inside here that clip onto these little tabs on either one of his arms. So you attach that on, he's got a little shield for one of his arms. Come on, stand up. Get your feet all the way down. Alright, the legs are a little off for where they transform into jet mode. Come on. One click, there we go. Like that. And then the pistol on the V-Saber can be held in his hand. Actually, do you have to open up this way? Okay, I guess that's plug. You flip this down. He's got a little... He should be able to hold this gun. Well, maybe not. The gun does flip down like that, so you can hold it in his larger mode. And also, underneath the back of the V-Star, if you lift up under here, there's a little storage peg for the sword handle. And in each side of this, these flip up. He's got a longer blade for his larger mode on one side, and then a short blade over here. And the short blade can plug right in here into the handle and give him a sword as well. You just kind of fit that in the notch there. There we go. And wrap his hand around it. He does have a little bit of a wrist swivel. It does get a little stopped by the wrist plate here, the back of the palm plate. But he does have a wrist swivel there. You'll notice he doesn't have a face yet, and that's because in order to form his face, you open up this panel, and you plug the brain here into the chest. And there actually is a little peg hole. You want to make sure that lines up. There's a peg hole in the back there that clips in to his body, so make sure he gets in there and pegged on. There we go. Peg him all the way in, and then when you close this panel, you can see it raises the face and visor up. Now, because of that gimmick, he only has a swivel from side to side. The fact that he still even has a swivel is still pretty impressive, but he can't look up or down due to that. But yeah, there's Saber in it by himself as a robot mode. So go ahead and pop the sword back out. Store the blade back here. We'll go ahead and pull out the the larger blade. We'll need that in a moment. And that will turn him into his fully combined mode. Real quick though, we'll show you just a size comparison. He's roughly Voyager sized. Here he is next to the old Voyager Optimus. So he's a little shorter than an old school Voyager, but just get a pretty decent size of idea of how big he is. So we're going to pop the shield off here. We're going to transform his arms back to his jet mode. You leave the brain inside there, bring his arms back down like that. This piece also slides down so you don't have the cockpit sitting right behind his head. And then these pieces snap together, fold the feet back up. And you can see he's got these hinges here, both at the top of his legs and the bottom of his legs. That gives him his knee movement as in robot mode, but also allows him, he folds up now. You want to make sure, fold these all the way up first, collapse them down. Fold this panel, actually you don't want to collapse them all the way down. But basically fold those right up against his chest. I'll fold these panels back like this, and then these pieces right here rotate to form some vents. And that's where we're going to leave that for right now. We'll set that off to the side. And on to the V-Star itself. So to transform this part, which is, again, very large, and quite a bit of heft to it, too. Unclip these from the side panel here. Just kind of lift them up, and these, you can see there's little hook tabs in there that clip up under there. And you can lift this panel up like this. And right under here, you can see there's a peg hole right there. That's where we stored the small sword handle. It doesn't really work so much in large mode just because of the way this folds up like this. So you can do it, but this won't sit flush the way it's supposed to. And I have not found another place to store this in fully combined mode. So just set that off to the side. So lift this up here, you can see the other sword blade, the short sword blade hanging out down under here. So lift that up, and then you want to unhook each side from the hands. You can see there's his hand there. And the legs come down, kind of rotates up like that and down. And then you want to rotate the inner thigh here to the front so you see this detailing, and then rotate the knee around like that. And that gives him his knee joint this way. It's used as a transformation joint to come out for robot mode. Fold that panel flat, fold that panel flat, bring his foot up and around. You can see he's got some little jet thruster heels here, and some ankle tilt. Good amount of posability there in the foot. Same on this side. And one of the things you'll notice is the guy who designed this was talking about it. He worked really hard to make the... there's not a whole lot of paint in order to keep it from like wearing and tearing. There is some paint, but all of this in different colored plastics is actually colored plastics. Like this gray is an insert with the dark gray plastic. That's blue plastic, yellow plastic. So there's a lot of inserts over paint applications, which means you're not going to get some of that paint wear that you might get on some other figures. So there's his lower body done. Come up here to the top. Extend his arms down, and again you're going to rotate those around like that to get his elbows. Nope, wrong way. I think you can rotate these out to the side. And you see he's got a swivel there on his wrist as well as a wrist. He's got a hinge there on his wrist as well as a swivel, which is nice. And opening hands. Fingers are not all... there's one single digit and then curved fingers for the rest of his fingers. There's not individually posable, and his thumbs are fixed in place. So then you got that. You lift this up a little bit like this. And then we're going to take Saber from before, and he's going to pop in. You may need to push this button to give him a little bit of clearance, but he's going to pop in. And it's a little hard. You want to make sure he will sit all the way back. You don't just want to sit him in there like that. You want to snap him in. And again, you can push this button to help him get a little bit more clearance. But he should snap in all the way into, there you go, like that, into the body. I found that once I get one side in, the other side becomes more difficult. But you snap them all the way in back like that. And then on this hinge here, this helmet comes up. Let's come up a little higher here. Comes up like this and fits over his Saber head. And it flips the mask down. If you can see that. I'll bring these out, because before you fold those fins back, you want to fold these in. Kind of like we did for V-Star mode. Fold these panels in and then fold the fins back against that. And then his antenna rotate up and out. Now, some people like, the instructions show these antennas sticking forward in vehicle mode. And the problem is, like, you see that little corner right there where this hinge out, that's hitting this and it kind of forces it to fold in. I don't think it looks that bad, but if you pop this off and trim to just that little corner, you could have them sticking straight forward in V-Star mode if you want. But you pop him in, and then this panel, this hinge actually has a clip on it, so you can unclip this and fold this back down into his body. And then this panel comes up. There's pegs here that peg in up here. So you just fold this up and clip it in like this. And that's why you see, like, there's no clearance there to store that sword handle where it's stored before, and it doesn't quite peg in tightly enough anywhere else on his back to store. So I'm assuming that just has to sit off to the side. And once that's done, you see, like I said, he's got the sword. These are where the sword blades store. You take the cockpit from the Saber, open that up. And there's a thin slot and a wider slot on the sword. So you want to make sure the thicker slot goes over this thicker peg right here, like that. And then clip that together straight like that, and you can fold this down, and he's got a sword. Now there's no sword handle here right now because you open these two panels up, and this blue piece inside here rotates out. No, right there, blue piece rotates out and forms the sword handle, and you can fold this down. I think you can fold that down. Can you fold that down over it? I could have sworn you... Yeah, there we go. And he's got his sword. Now this is the one-handed handle, which he can kind of hold. They get it in there and gives him his sword like that. If you want to have him hold it two-handed, they do include a handle for that. And basically how that works is you fold this back up in, flip this back up into the body, close that up, and then this handle just kind of slides up over this way. Yeah, so just slides up into there like that, and then you can close this panel back down again. And that gives him a longer sword if you want to pose him. And he's almost got the articulation to do it. You got to bring his hands forward, but you can get him to hold it, his sword, two-handed. Bring in that hinge on the wrist. Close his fingers. Come on. Well, I'm not doing a really good job of showing this on video. Oh, there we go. You can have him hold his sword kind of two-handed. It's a matter of getting it in there tight enough. You can do it much more elegantly than I'm doing it right there. But if you want to have him have a two-handed sword handle. And like I said, this pistol has a flip-down handle, so you can have him hold the sword. Again, it's floppy in one hand, but that lets him hold the pistol in his other hand as well. He's kind of got like bell-bottom sleeves in his design. And on top of that, the gun, you can store the gun on his back. Just where it was before, it plugs in right here. If you want to store the sword, again, you got to pull this handle off. You can take the sword blade, and just like how it's stored before, you just open up this hinge here on his shoulder and just slide the sword blade in. Like that. Close that up. You can see it hangs down off his back, but it stores there through a slot there in the backpack. And then this piece right here, I think this little tab right here just tabs in right here onto his backpack. Maybe this way. Nope. All right, this piece right here is supposed to flip up onto his back. Well, now I don't know where this plugs in. Oh, here we go. And then this little tab slaps into the slot up here. And you can still store the gun up here. So you can store the sword and the handle and hilt and everything on his back. Like I said, the stand becomes a shield. There's two separate pieces here. There's this one, and then it comes out, and then this clear piece in the middle slides up and out. And then you get this little handle with the Autobot symbol on it that has some grooves. It just slides back into place there. And of course, there's a handle there, so you can have him hold the shield in his hand as well. So he's fairly armed. He's got a neat transformation. Like, honestly, this is a very nice masterpiece figure, but it's really making me want to hunt down an old G1 version as well. Some people have stuck Victory Leo on him, and it's really just something that rests there. It does not actually attach. It looks like there are some places where you could, it looks like there's maybe some clips here in the feet, so if they ever do a potential Victory Leo, they will still be able to combine down the road. Like I said, some people have set G1 Victory Leo on him in combined mode, and for a static display that will work, but it doesn't stick on in any appreciable way. But yeah, all in all, it's a really nice, nice looking big robot. And so like I said, since I've never owned a G1 Star Saber, it's nice to be able to have some affordable version, because the G1 version goes for a lot of money these days. Just a quick size comparison. Again, I mentioned that we showed off the Voyager Prime earlier, so just to get an idea of how big he is in comparison there. Here he is with MP-10 Optimus Prime. So much larger, as you can see. And even bigger than, I mean, mass-wise, they're roughly the same, because Magnus is very wide, and I think Magnus actually might be a little heavier overall by weight. You can see Star Saber is a little bigger there than even MP Ultra Magnus. So it's the biggest masterpiece to date, I believe. Well, I guess MP-10. The original MP-01 was actually pretty tall, and it's probably a little taller than him, so I take that back. But of the modern scale masterpieces that started in the middle of the line, he's the biggest of them in the last couple of years. So yeah, he was the fans' choice pick over in Japan, and I think it's cool that we got, a non-main U.S. robot from the line. I'm hoping that we get, like I said, I do hope we get a Victory Leo down the road that combines with him, because that would just be awesome. Now, Articulation here, he does have, thanks to his helmet, he does actually have a little up and down motion, although the head underneath, again, just has the basic swivel. But thanks to that rotating neck joint, you can have him look up and down a little bit here. He's got shoulders that ratchet this way and this way. He's got a little bit of a swivel here in the arm, as well as the joint here at the top of the elbow and at the bottom of the elbow. A swivel there, a swivel at the wrist, as well as that hinge on the wrist. He's got a little bit of an ab crunch. You can see there's some movement there. I just popped him out, but like there's a waist joint, there's a little bit of ab movement aside from just there's a hinge there, aside from just Saber himself, which popped out. There we go. Nope, snap back in. There we go. He's got clicky hips in both directions. You can see he's kind of got that ball joint in there. It's not a ball joint, it's a universal joint, but it's a ball. A thigh swivel, hinge knees. He doesn't have the crazy hinge. He's just got the one hinge in the knee, but he does have a swivel right below the knee. There is a little bit of tilt in the ankle, as well as the posable feet here. There's the landing gear for the back. I knew there was some back there somewhere. So yeah, there is Masterpiece Star Saber. If you can pick him up, I definitely recommend it. It's nice to have, like I said, it's nice to have a nice Masterpiece scale representation of some of the Japanese series. And I hope we get a few more. I'd love a Masterpiece Jinrai, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, there's Masterpiece Star Saber.